So what are we going to talk about today? How about, are you the creator? I think that's a pretty good place to start. So are you the creator? Do you notice that in the tagline up there on the word the? Do you notice a capital T? So you're not the creator of everything, but you are the creator of your life. And that's really where we're going to go. Because let me just take you back to where's the premise of everything we believe. We believe that there is an infinite. We call it infinite mind, universal intelligence. We even can use the word God. We don't use the word God as much as others because God has a meaning in society that there's this being, this Santa Claus figure that is up there that is judging us, and we don't see that. We don't create God in humans' image. We are created in God's image. So we don't see God as a person or a judgmental being. We see an infinite intelligence that knows all, that is all, that's everywhere present, that's always been present, that's all-powerful, that has created everything out of itself because there's nothing other than itself to create from. Because if God is all there is, what could God create from but itself? Very logical, isn't that? So here's the basic premise in what we believe at Agape, what religious science, which is the foundation of what we believe, believes is that the only leap of faith you have to make is believe that there's an infinite. Believe that there's something greater. Once you believe in a greater, then everything that we teach is a logical progression thereof. So, I am made of all God stuff. What you are looking in front of you is God expressing as Lee Wolak. And when you look in the mirror, what you're looking at is God expressing as you. So all the stuff that God is made of, or what is there, you're made of. You hear the term all the time out there, you're made of stardust. You've heard that. You are the light. We are all light. Well, that's because God is that. So if God is that, then we are that. So we then come to the premise that if we are God and God creates, then we must create, right? Because God creates. So how do we create? We create through our word, through our beliefs. Jesus said it is done unto you as you believe. So your beliefs are your thoughts, words, actions, and feelings aligned toward a specific result, held persistently and consistently. That in turn determines what you're experiencing. So if you ever want to know what you're experiencing in life, just look at, or don't want to know what you believe, look at what you're experiencing in life. Your life is a demonstration of your beliefs. If you want a different demonstration, then you must become a different person by becoming and having different beliefs. That's the process. So a creative mind, which we have, is an inspired mind. Does that make sense? So what is inspiration? Inspiration is that which is coming from within us. There is a desire within us to create, to be, to express ourselves. I don't know what that is for you, but you have to figure that out. I love to speak and teach. That gives me great things. So for me to create new talks, new ways of teaching and that gives me juice. No one has to tell me to do that. I automatically do that. Now on administrative things, I have Debbie, our treasurer. She's always beating me over the head to do things. So I have to be motivated to do things that I'm not inspired to do. Now we don't always get to just do what we're inspired to because I don't have a staff of 50 people. So things I have to handle, right? I don't have a maid and a cook and things at home yet. And my wife has said to me that I'm not that person. I want you to know I did not see one man yelling or clapping when I said that. Just to be clear about that. And so, but each person has the right to express their inspiration, whatever that is. And it could be, an inspiration could be someone who's a stay-at-home caretaker. That could be their desire. There's nothing wrong with that. There is no higher or lower in what you're inspired to do. We've got to come out of what society has taught us, that a doctor and a lawyer are the two most fantastic careers that you could be in. You've heard that. I heard that when I was a little kid. Become a doctor or a lawyer. Those are the best things you can become. Who said that? Who created that nonsense? I think a doctor wants to become a doctor so he can have the word MD afterwards, and he can then be a minor deity. But here's the interesting thing. We're all minor deities. We're all what? Expressions of the infinite. The infinite is the divine. Therefore, we are the divine individualized as us. So if we are the divine individualized as it and all of us as God, then we don't have to subordinate ourselves to anyone. No priest, no minister, no bishop, no doctor, no lawyer, no president, no one. You are not below anyone, and you are not above anyone, but you are unique, expressing your gifts the way you do. Inspiration is a function of the divine within each of us. There's something within us that is creative, that is unique to us, that is desiring to express itself, and our job is to determine what it is and do that. That's really important. I don't know what your divine expression is, but it'll come out of you, and sometimes it takes time to figure that out. I think that's really important to understand. It just takes time for that to get clear. And here's the thing. Take a step forward. Then take another step forward. And when you're taking that step forward in your life, allow your emotions to be your guide. If it feels good, it's on the way. If it feels bad, it's off the way. You see, your emotions tell you whether you're on your path or off your path. That's why people have emotions for different reasons. I get emotions about things differently than my wife gets emotions differently. Not good or bad. She has a different path than I do. Does that make sense? So you can be in partnership, you can be in family, and you can have paths going in every different direction. It's okay. You're not meant to be like everyone. We may not know as much as another person knows in our particular area of life, but our inspirational capacity is the same as everyone else's. You can see people who have a photographic memory about certain aspects. There are people who are engineers that understand the way that mathematics works, or physicists, or people who are caretakers, or people who are creative musicians, or people who are artists. They have these gifts. They have knowledge more than we have in that area, but we have as much creativity as they do. We get to choose how we use that creativity. Does that make sense? So no one is better than or worse than anyone. We're just unique and we're different. When we are creative, we are happy. And it doesn't matter what we're creating as long as it's meaningful to us. We've got a couple of ladies in this room that are decorators. They love to decorate. They love to decorate. It was interesting when I said that, they looked around to see who it was and didn't realize it was them. It's so funny how people look elsewhere when it's always them. But you see, when something has meaning, there is no time when you're doing it. When you're doing what you love, you're not bored. You're not thinking, oh my God, I got to wait this amount of time. No, you're into it. It's creative for you. It could be crocheting a quilt. If that crocheting of the quilt is something really good for you, and you're crocheting it and you're into it, that's your creativity at that time. That's beautiful. I don't know why we tend to judge. How do we be creative? We're going to have some creative things in our silent auction next week. Some really creative things that are coming. So it is going to be phenomenal to see who buys what. Because there's some things, I want to buy Jean something, but she doesn't want me to buy it for her. But there's a woman out there who's going to want this gift. And it's Oksana who's got the gift that I'm thinking of. Okay. We are individualizations of infinite mind. We've heard that before already. And like infinite mind, it is not our nature to rest on our laurels, but rather it is our nature to be creative. Do you get that? Your nature is not to be comfortable. Your nature is not to sit around on a cloud and play the harp. Your nature is about you creating, and you get bored when you're not creating. It's so simple when you really think about it. Oh, I'm bored. When a kid comes up to you and says, Dad, I'm bored. Well, what do you want to do? Create it. Well, I don't know what to create. Well, what does your heart want to do? Go find out. Go on the internet. You know, there are how-to videos on the internet to do just about anything you can imagine. You want to build a house, you can go on YouTube, and you can find a YouTube video that tells you how to build a house. You want to learn to meditate, you can go on YouTube. Everything is on YouTube. I mean, we alone have, over 420 videos on YouTube that we offer. Everything you could possibly imagine is there for you to expand your mind and to start using your creative power. I don't know what your gift is. I know what mine is. And mine is all about self-love and conscious living, and it's teaching and speaking about it. That's what I love to do. That's what I do every day. I cannot stop being that. It was real funny. We were at an event for my wife on Friday with her hospital. And it was an amazing event because it had like 700-800 tables set up, big rounds, a big ballroom. And it was celebrating employees who've had a certain amount of time on the job. And Jean was celebrating. She's got 30 years at the hospital. So she was one of the people there. And at our table, probably a third of the tables, people didn't show. I found that fascinating. Because you had to respond, you had to RSVP. And I'm a real believer that when you give your word has meaning. And if you don't have, your word is not good, then what are you saying to the universe? I'm not worthy. So anyway, we're sitting with this couple. And the first thing that the lady at the table said is, hi, I'm so-and-so, and I have MS. And I just sat back and I found that real interesting. The first thing that came out of the woman's mouth was that she has a very debilitating disease. You would never have known by looking at her. So we ended up talking and talking and talking and talking. And finally they got to relax and relax. They got used to my personality. I can keep a conversation going and I'm going to take it in places. And so I was hesitant to speak out about what I did. But a point came where I sort of said to her, I said, so do you meditate? And she said, no, I don't. I said, would you like to learn? And she said, yeah. I said, well, here's my card. Go to my YouTube channel. There's guided meditations. All you got to do is turn it on, pop on the earbuds, and it's about relaxing, it's about deep breathing, and it's about personal healing. She says, she got real excited. She got real excited with the idea. I said, this will help you. This will be the start for you. And then I said to her, you need to change your language. And she looked at me real puzzled. And I said, don't go around telling people you've got MS. That's not who you are. I said, you're an individualization of God. That's who you are. Start stepping into that. Because what you're saying is creating. And if you walk up to everybody and you say, I've got MS, I got MS, I got MS, I got MS, what are you creating in your own mind? You're taking that disease and you're implanting it deeper and deeper and deeper, and you will not get a healing because you don't believe in a healing. You believe you've got the disease. It's anchored into you because you're saying it over and over and over again. People have healed from MS. Not the people who identify themselves as MS, though. That's really critical to understand. And then I tried to lighten it up. I said, do you have a lot of stress in your life? And she goes, yeah, I do. And I looked at her husband. I said, do you have a lot of stress in your life? And he says, yes, I do. I said, do you two love each other? And he said, yes, we do. I then started having sex every night. And he looked at me. He gave me a look. And she had this look where she was just beaming from here to here. And she looked, I'll bet he's going to like that. She didn't say, she said it like he's going to have it. It's going to happen because she lit up. And you see, the idea was to take away the tenseness of the conversation and lighten it up. We take this life so seriously. Because when I said, have sex every night, how many of you got the look, oh, that was a minister that said that? Wait a second, that's my minister that said that. That's why you're here. You want a minister that's free about things like that, that does not judge, that understands that we're talking about creative. Is not the act of sex the most creative thing that's naturally built into our DNA? If we deny that with the proper people, what are we denying within ourselves? We're denying ourselves our own basic existence. We're denying our own creative power within us. This whole idea of suppression of celibacy. Think about what celibacy's done to the Catholic Church. What's happening at the Vatican right now? They're having this huge conference there because of all of the pedophiles that are existing in the Catholic Church. Also, now we've got the nuns that have been abused for thousands of years as well. This is now coming out in the Southern Baptist faith, where the articles are now surfacing in the Dallas area. 700 people have been sexually abused. Why? Because we repress things, and what you repress expresses in unhealthy ways. You see, when you're a creator, you don't repress. You bring out the creative. You bring it out in a way that's loving, that's caring for people. Raymond Charles Barker says, God never made a dull person. It never created an average person. It never created a satisfied person. We fulfill ourselves by being ourselves at the highest level of progressive expansion possible. So if you are bored, it's your fault. If you are average, it's your fault. And wait a second. What is average? Do you guys have any idea what average is? I'm going to give you a new definition about what average is. Average is a person who doesn't think for themselves, that allows society's views to control what they think and what they believe. I think that's an average person. I think an average person in the world today is a sheep. A sheeple means you're a follower. You don't think for yourself. A person who is average does not think for themselves. They believe whatever the party that they affiliate believes. They believe whatever the religion they affiliate believes. They believe whatever the community they affiliate with believes. They do not think for themselves. Well, I want you to know that if you are a member of Agape, you will be taught not to believe anything I say, because you have to think for yourself and prove what's right for you. Because that's what the individualization of God does. It thinks for itself because it's got infinite wisdom within it. It has the power to think anything it wants to think, to focus on anything it wants to focus on, and to create anything it wants to experience. Anything other than that is denying the divinity that exists within us. I refuse to be that. I refuse to be denied my divinity. I refuse to be put in a box by anyone. I refuse it. I rebel against when I'm being held to a standard that's not the standard I accept. And I think inside each of us, we all have that same belief. Raymond goes on and he says, heaven is the symbol of the ever-expanding consciousness of ideas in which we are forever immersed. Think about the state of heaven, which is what we define as a state of ultimate bliss. Think about if you realize that you are immersed in infinite ideas that produce infinite possibilities in infinite ways to you express your and use your creative power. Is that not a paradise? That's like going to a place bigger than Disney World. Think about that. How many people here love Disney World? How many people, when they go to Disney World, go on every roller coaster more than once? I do. I want the high. And I love being high, and then I really love coming low, and then I love going high. Do you notice what one of the scariest parts about being on a roller coaster is? It's that first climb. Remember where you hear the click, 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 and you're going, holy crap, I'm going up to the highest point. Click, click, and you get to the highest point, and it's just for a few seconds you're there, and all of a sudden, woo, down you go. And you get alive, you become alive. But it took that, you had to get over the fear of climbing. And what was that climbing? You had to get over the fear of the unknown. That's what that fear is. It's the unknown that we fear. But the ride, once you're down that ride, you got to surrender. And you let go. And my God, it's so great. You hold your hands up and pray the person in front of you doesn't puke. Because I've seen that happen. I was behind the person, thank God. That wasn't good either. Because when you're behind the person and they do it. Anyway, how did I get off on that? I guess it's divine wisdom channeling through me. So the question I ask, and I asked these two individuals the other night, I asked the question, if you could do anything, what would you love to do? What would you really love to do? And here's the answer he gave me. I would like to go into my garage and piddle. I wanted to ask what piddle meant. Because I could think of so many things that I'd want to do. I want to go to Bhutan, supposedly the happiest place in the world, and experience what is the simple life there. I want to go to Fiji and experience what it's like to be on one of these little islands. I want to be in some resort where my casita is over the water with glass and no one's around me and I've got all that to look at. I want to go and I want to hike in the Himalayas again with a small group of people, not with a lot of people around. And I want to be in nature for 5, 6, 7, 10 days. And so I could be with myself and my thoughts and be with nature. I want to experience the greatest foods in the world. I can't wait to be in Italy this fall to do a cooking class and learn how Italians really cook, not the way Americans think that Italians cook. I can't wait to taste the flavors of all these foods. I mean, there's so much for us to experience in this life. I don't think it's about piddling in the garage. So what happens with the creative nature? We have been taught not to be creative. We have been brought up to fit into a box, the box that religion teaches, the box that school system teach, the box that political system teach, and in that box there's boundaries. And when there's boundaries, your creativity is very, very limited, isn't it? You know, I was taught in ministerial school to have a talk that fit a certain pattern. When I left ministerial school and I became a minister and started Agape, guess what? I threw it out. Why do I need a box to teach me how to speak? I was also taught that you've got to do spiritual music. Have you heard spiritual music here at Agape? You hear high energy music. You hear rock and roll music. Why? Because I find it lifts the soul. It gets you in a movement. If you're not moving to the music we have here at Agape, we have some musical constipation going on. Because the music here is about lifting, it's about inspiring. And so next week when we have our fundraiser, it's going to be absolutely incredible. There's going to be 2 hours of music afterwards. The best rock and roll you've ever heard, dancing music. And you're going to want to be here for that. Why? Because your soul loves to dance. It doesn't matter if you're there going, it's okay as long as you're doing it. We get afraid that people judge us when we dance. I remember, I'm thinking back to high school when I went to my sock hops, I was outrageous on the dance floor. And I wonder what happened to that Lee Wolak? When did he care what other people thought about him when he danced? See, that's the interesting thing. We start giving our power away by caring what other people think about us. I'm telling you, we've got to stop caring what people think about us. Because people are judging us from their own perspective. It's not your perspective. Don't give your power away. You give your power away, you give your creativity away. You give your creativity away, you give your ability to realize that you're one with the infinite. When you give that away, you've got nothing. Absolutely nothing. So, what is it in you that is really desiring to want to be expressed? What is it that you really, really, really want to do? And I'm going to invite you today, when you leave and go home, to take 5 minutes and write that down and then write a description about what that would feel like for you, what that would look like for you, and when can you do it? Not 5 years from now, a real firm date on when you can do it. I want you to plant that dream into your mind at such a deep level with feelings, with a visualization, and with a commitment to the date. Because I want you to come back after you've lived that dream, and I want you to stand on the stage, and I want you to tell the people of this community, I did it, and this is what it meant for me. I believe that everyone in this room can do that because you are all individualizations of God. And what I see is that you step into that power and you leave behind the shell of that which is not you. But you are the all-powerful expression of infinite love. And what I see is that love is alive and well in you. Let's pray. I want to thank you for joining us today. I'm so grateful that you took your time to watch or listen to this message. If you found this message beneficial, I would ask that you go to our website, agapecsl.com. Once there, click on the donate button and experience the joy of conscious and purposeful giving. Or if you would like, text your gift by simply dialing 972-532-6976. It is through your gifts that we are able to bring this message to you in the world. I would ask that if you like this message, to please subscribe to my YouTube channel under my name, Lee Wolak. Again, I want to thank you for joining me in the Agape community as we learn how to better self-love through conscious living.